Good afternoon, families. I'm Adrienne Gilliard from the ELC's Inclusion Team, bringing you the family edition of Behavior Bites Tidbits. And our tidbit topic for today is, why is my child behaving like this? This video is part one in figuring out the reasons why challenging behavior is occurring using ABC data. ABC stands for the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequences. And the data from the ABCs captures the complete picture of the surrounding environment as well as the behavior that happened. So if you haven't already figured it out, the ABC data requires you to be a detective or to be a little bit more intentional about figuring out what's occurring with the challenging behavior. I know a lot of times when your child throws a temper tantrum, you can say to yourself, it happened all out of the blue, or it just happened out of nowhere. But if we really take the time and think about it intentionally, we know that there's always something that happened first to trigger the behavior. Now, when we're in the classroom, we use an ABC chart. But since you're at home, you can use a sticky note, you can use a checklist, or you can use an ABC chart yourself. You can go on Google and find an ABC chart. And what I'm going to do is take a second and share my screen so that I can show you two examples of an ABC chart or an ABC log. Okay. So this first one is an ABC log. It gives you the date, the initials, and the setting. It's a little bit more formal, but it still has those ABCs, the antecedent, the behavior, the consequence, and the child's response. So this is just one example. Our next example is an ABC checklist. And in the home environment, this may be a little bit easier for you to use because you're literally just going through and checking off the behaviors that you've seen. But like I said, you can Google it. You can find so many different types of ABC data forms or data logs. It's just up to you and what works better for you in your home. And like I said, too, a sticky note would work just fine. So as we are working to look at this ABC data, you have to record your data. You've seen those examples. And before you start to record your data and log your information, it's important for you to just think about only what happened and the behavior that occurred, not how those behaviors made you feel and not how you think the child felt. It's solely about the data, not anyone's feelings. And with this chart, you're going to look at the who, the what, the where, and the when, not the why. The why will come in part 2 of this video. So let's take a look at A, the antecedent. What happened right before? Think of it as the who, the what, the where, and the when. As an example, Johnny was watching Paw Patrol and you told him to get ready for bed. For B, the behavior. What did Johnny do? Johnny fell to the floor, he screamed, and he kicked his arms and flailed his legs. Now we can go to C, the consequence. Now the consequence can be kind of tricky because the first thing that we think about is the disciplinary action, but that's not it at all. The consequence is the question, and then what happened? So what happened after Johnny fell to the floor, kicked his legs, and flailed his arms? After Johnny had his tantrum, you backed up and you walked away. So now ask yourself, what did he get out of it? Johnny got the attention of the family and he got to avoid going to bed at that moment. So do you see how we gathered that data and all that information? Well, with this data, it has to be taken over a period of time because what we're doing is looking for a pattern. And the pattern will allow you to see that this is what happens every time Johnny spends the weekend with grandma and grandpa, or this happens every time Johnny has to go to bed before his dad has gotten home from work. So all of these things, all of these events, they help us paint the picture. And when we think about these events, it might be easier to start backwards because you can remember easier what Johnny did, which was dropping to the floor, kicking his legs, and, flailing his arms. So start there. And remember, it's not about how it made his little sister start crying or that it made you so upset that you pulled your hair. Take yourself out of it. It's just about what happened. And over time, you'll see that the consequences give you the best clue as to why. In this situation with Johnny, you can see that through your frustration, you could have unknowingly reinforced a lot of maladaptive behaviors or challenging behaviors because what he wanted was to avoid going to bed. So we're just going to stop right there in that very first stage of the ABCs. Come back next week for part 2 of why is my child behaving like this? And this is where we'll go a little bit deeper into the why and talk about the functions of the behaviors. And we'll also talk about replacement behaviors and strategies. So if you're still experiencing challenging behaviors with your child at home, you can always reach out to Debbie Kay at our warm line, where the number is 954-295-0672. Now, if you find this video and other videos of ours helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and we will see you back here next week for part 2.